I knew something was wrong when I walked into the server room and smelled lavender essential oil instead of the usual mix of burning electronics and desperation. That was my first clue. The second was seeing my whiteboard, where I normally mapped out security protocols, covered in Chloe's vision board complete with magazine cutouts of yoga retreats, baby alpacas, and some quote about manifesting digital abundance. I've been at this for 18 years. I've restored classified systems with nothing but a paperclip and Marine Corps stubbornness. I've watched grown men cry during security breach meetings. But this was an omen. My name's Dustin Walsh. I'm 49, divorced, supporting 2 college kids. Sarah's a sophomore at Colorado State, Jake's a freshman at CU Boulder, and I smoke exactly 1 cigarette a year on Veterans Day next to the backup generator I personally rebuilt during that power grid failure in 21. I don't do office politics. I don't do motivational speeches. I just keep 13 defense data centers from going dark and taking national security with them. For 3 years, I've been the duct tape and digital prayers holding Apex defense systems together. And for 3 years, I've been invisible, until Golden Boy showed up. Preston Whitfield, 32, MBA from some fancy school, more trust fund than technical knowledge, son of the CEO, wearer of $1,000 sneakers, and proud speaker of phrases like synergizing our cyber defense paradigm. He strutted into headquarters on a Monday morning like he just invented computers, brought his influencer girlfriend Chloe too. She introduced herself with, "I'm really into digital wellness and mindful leadership," which I'm pretty sure means she's allergic to actual work. The moment Preston was appointed VP of Operations, I knew my deployment was ending. The whispers started immediately. He's bringing fresh energy. She's got a real eye for modern security. Dustin's too. Analog. Analog. I once rebuilt our routing firmware using a Raspberry Pi and 6 hours of Red Bull-fueled focus. But yeah, let's trust the woman who thinks RAID is something you spray for bugs. The worst part? The meetings I used to attend. I used to be the quiet professional in the corner, competent, reliable, caffeinated. Now I wasn't even invited. My security clearance mysteriously got under review. My tickets got reassigned to contractors who didn't know a firewall from a garden fence. Chloe started holding mindful workflow alignment sessions in my old office, burning sage over the backup tapes like she was cleansing evil spirits. And still, I held the line. When Preston asked me for a security assessment, I gave him a 52-page operational risk report with color-coded threat maps, vendor contract timelines, and a red-flagged section labeled critical. Do not grant unauthorized access to classified systems. He replied with a thumbs-up emoji and a Slack message that said, "Thanks, bro. Looks thorough. By the way, if you've made it this far, without clicking away, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. Not just for me, but for every IT veteran eating lunch alone in the server room while keeping America's digital backbone running. It keeps the coffee flowing and these stories coming." Anyway, I knew the end was coming, so I got ready. First, I documented everything. I'm talking full network maps, security protocols, emergency procedures. I encrypted backups, flagged expiring contracts, printed hard copies of every vendor agreement, and uploaded my resignation letter to 3 separate secure drives. Not because I wanted to use it, but because I knew someone would force my hand. Then I did something Preston would never understand. I created a fail-safe. Not sabotage. That would violate everything I swore to protect. Just a protocol. A system that recognized me as the architect. A system that, if misused, would slowly revoke access, degrade functionality, and trigger alert chains to vendors, legal, and eventually the board. Not out of malice, out of survival. Because Apex Defense didn't just employ me, it ran on me. And the moment they forgot that, well, you don't pull the load-bearing beam and expect the building to stay up. The failsafe was buried deep in a security framework I'd written during a 72-hour lockdown when hostile actors were probing our defenses. It was designed as a dead man's switch. If the system detected unauthorized changes without proper authentication protocols, it would begin a systematic lockdown. Not to destroy anything, but to protect classified data from incompetent handling. I'd included a specific clause in my original contract during the 2019 foreign intrusion incident. Wesley Whitfield, the founder, had given me emergency authorization to rebuild everything from scratch. In that chaos, he'd signed off on a security provision 2.8% equity transfer per data center successfully secured and maintained over 36-month continuous cycle, activated upon wrongful termination without cause. Buried in legal jargon, witnessed by the General Counsel, filed with corporate records. 13 data centers times 2.8% equals 36.4% controlling interest. I'd earned it, protected it, maintained it for years. All legal, all documented, all waiting. By Friday, the whiteboard had a new addition: Chloe's server room makeover, thinking crystals and mood lighting. I stared at that note so long I almost developed a migraine. I saved my final security report, made a local backup, and wrote one sentence at the bottom. If I'm not here Monday, Semper Fi. I didn't think I'd need it. I was wrong. Monday, 11:15 a.m. I was deep in a ticket about suspicious network activity, tracking potential intrusion attempts like following enemy movement, when I got the ping. "Hey Dustin, can you swing by my office for a quick sync?" That smiley face was the corporate equivalent of incoming artillery. I stared at the message, considered faking a security emergency, then sighed, saved my work, and headed down the hall toward the glass office Preston called his innovation hub. The rest of us called it the fishbowl. He didn't look up when I walked in, just kept tapping his phone, smirking. Chloe was perched on the conference table like a discount Bond villain, sipping something green from a mason jar. She gave me a little wave and said, "Hey there, Dustin. Love the flannel." I hadn't spoken more than 3 words to her since she'd optimized our security documentation by deleting everything and replacing it with PowerPoint slides full of stock photos. "Take a seat," Preston said, gesturing vaguely without making eye contact. I didn't. He finally looked up, grinning like someone who just discovered his trust fund had a trust fund. So, after a lot of strategic thinking and forward-looking analysis, he began. The buzzwords were oozing out of him. "We've decided to restructure operations a bit. Chloe's got a real vision for this stuff, and we think her approach aligns more with where Apex is heading. Your methods are, well, legacy. Legacy. Like my experience came with cobwebs and a musty smell." I kept my voice flat. "She's not even cleared for basic access." Chloe blinked. "Clearance? That's like a reward program, right?" Preston laughed. "It's not really about paperwork anymore, Dustin. It's about energy, and her energy is exactly what we need." For a second, I didn't say anything. The numbness crept in slow and cold like hypothermia. I'd predicted this, prepared for it, but hearing him say it so casually, like I was outdated equipment he was junking, made my jaw clench. He kept going. "Anyway, today's your last day. Effective immediately. No hard feelings, right? No hard feelings." I looked at Chloe. She was scrolling through her phone, probably planning her next digital wellness in the workplace TikTok. I turned back to Preston. "You have no idea what you've just done," I said quietly. He smiled wider, clearly thinking I was bluffing. "Come on, Dustin. Don't make this awkward." I reached into my back pocket, pulled out my badge, and laid it on his desk like placing a flag on a coffin. Gentle, no drama, no raised voice. 45 minutes, I said. He frowned. "What? You have 45 minutes before everything goes dark. Tell your father I said good luck." Chloe snorted. "Wait, is that like metaphorical?" I didn't answer. I just turned and walked out. The office felt different. Not heavier, lighter, like cutting dead weight. HR tried to intercept me on the way out. Some kid offered me a packet labeled transition resources. I took it without breaking stride and dropped it in the trash by the elevator. Back at my desk, I unplugged my personal tablet, slipped it into my bag. I didn't delete anything because nothing needed deleting. Every warning I'd given them was documented. Every alert I'd configured was armed. Every fuse was lit. By the time I hit the lobby, I was already getting texts. One from Tessa in payroll. "Can't access anything. Did you change permissions?" One from our European data center. "Vendor contract showing as voided. What's happening?" Then a Slack from Preston himself. "Weird error on the admin dashboard. You still around?" I turned off notifications. In the parking lot, I climbed into my Silverado, exhaled, and finally let my hands shake. Not from fear, from controlled rage. They thought they were replacing me with crystals and good vibes. They forgot I built the system they were standing on, and I'd just removed the manual. Shane, the security guard, barely glanced up as I walked out. We'd shared enough late-night vending machine battles and microwave territory wars that words weren't necessary. He just nodded, one veteran to another. "Stay safe, brother," he said quietly. Always do, I replied. No alarms, no badge confiscation ceremony, no awkward goodbye potluck. Just me walking out, calm and quiet, like I hadn't just activated the first domino. I pushed through the front doors into bright Colorado sunshine. Behind me, through the tinted glass, I caught a glimpse of Chloe hunched over the admin console, dragging interface elements around like Pinterest widgets. Her coffee cup said CEO of Good Vibes. She was toggling settings she didn't understand, rewriting security permissions like updating her Instagram bio. Somewhere deep in that network infrastructure, the system had just logged its first unauthorized change under her credentials. The countdown had begun. I didn't drive away immediately, just stood there breathing mountain air, the kind of deep breath that lives between relief and anticipation. I was technically unemployed, but functionally free. And I wasn't done, not by a long shot. My phone buzzed. Text from Garrett, our third-party backup vendor. They just revoked the primary license. That triggers in 6 hours. You still there? The license Garrett mentioned was a critical fail-safe key designed to cascade through multiple security checkpoints. It was buried in a framework I'd written during a 72-hour lockdown when the CEO was overseas and hostile actors were probing our defenses. I'd warned them in January, March, and June. Revoke that license without proper staging protocols, and the system would start eating itself from the inside out. I replied with a single emoji, checkmark, then muted the thread. In my truck was an old tablet loaded with cached admin logs, offline, disconnected, but still watching. I powered it on and flicked through recent alerts. 2 minor errors already. Dallas node, Newark node. Nothing catastrophic yet, just tremors. But the cascade was coming. Preston, meanwhile, was lighting up Slack like a victory parade. Screenshots were floating around of his message to the leadership channel. Cleaning house. Out with old school tech debt. In with new blood. Let's go. Someone responded with a fire emoji. Bro, he was like the system whisperer. Preston replied, Nah, he was just stuck in the past. We've got Chloe now. Streamlined, intuitive, scalable. I almost laughed. This man thought throwing jargon at failing infrastructure was strategy. He thought a woman who filmed TikTok dances in server rooms could manage defense-grade cybersecurity. But this wasn't about them anymore. This was about me. My code, my protocols, my logic. They were in the DNA of Apex Defense. I'd written security modules under fluorescent lights at 3 a.m. I'd patched vulnerabilities while Chloe was probably deep in a kombucha coma. I didn't just maintain that system. I became it. And when you rip out the heart without checking for backup circulation, you don't get a clean reboot. You get smoke and silence. By the time I got home to my small apartment, chosen for proximity to base and budget friendliness for child support, another alert had appeared on the tablet. Missing endpoint tokens. Chloe probably deleted them thinking they were clutter. Preston probably high-fived her afterward. Let them celebrate. I heated up leftover chili, poured a beer, and opened a private console. One folder sat there untouched. Failsafe Dwalsh init log status, armed. Latency mode, passive. They hadn't disabled it, they didn't know it existed. The first crack showed up in Portland at 2:23 a.m. their time. Tier 3 redundancy node hiccuped just long enough to trigger a false positive outage report. Chloe, in her wisdom, had silenced those alerts earlier because they were disrupting her creative flow. Her exact words, according to a screenshot that mysteriously appeared in my Signal inbox. Do we need these red flashing things? They're really harshing my zen. By sunrise, 6 dashboards were showing scrambled data. One ticketing system froze on a request for printer paper. Engineers started communicating via email like it was 2003. Slack became chaos. Chloe was posting GIFs of meditation bowls. Preston was drafting an email titled Transparency in Transition, Welcome to the New Era. And I was elbows deep in a plate of diner pancakes watching the slow-motion collapse on my jailbroken tablet. The waitress poured burnt coffee and said, You look like someone who just won the lottery. Close, I muttered. I just resigned from one. The logs kept ticking. Memory spikes, access errors, timeout failures. This wasn't sabotage. That's what everyone gets wrong. I didn't hack anything, didn't touch code after walking out. All I'd done was stop. I revoked my own access. Let the licenses I personally managed expire. Allowed the protections I'd babied for years to run their natural course, unchecked, unwatched. like leaving a nuclear reactor without an operator. At 10:47 a.m., Chloe attempted to log into Terminal 5, the central interface for vendor coordination and license management. The system denied her with a blinking warning. Access restricted. Privileges revoked. Dwalsh Security 0x44F. She took a selfie in front of it. Caption, OMG, what does this mean? Hashtag Glitch Queen, New Era, hashtag Apex Defense. By noon, it had flagged it as network latency, which was rich considering the real problem was institutional brain death. Preston ignored the report entirely, too busy rehearsing a live stream where he'd showcase the dynamic new ops team and introduce Chloe as their synergy catalyst. Then it happened. The countdown timer appeared. I wasn't expecting that part. Not yet. I'd embedded the protocol years ago as a passive safety measure, activated only when specific failure conditions stacked in sequence: credential mismatch, pathway failure, unauthorized access attempts, expired vendor synchronization. 12:18 p.m. The tablet pinged softly. New log entry. Fail-safe protocol, D. Walsh initiated. Time remaining, 11:57:04. No alarms, no sirens, just red text blinking like a heartbeat. The countdown had begun. This didn't mean explosions. It meant total system lockdown. Apex's infrastructure would begin isolating compromised modules, revoking external access points, and most critically, locking doors to anyone without my original encryption signature. Apex Defense was about to learn what it meant to be cut off from itself. I sat there, fork frozen mid-bite, syrup dripping. Even I hadn't expected the tripwire to activate this fast. The waitress refilled my cup. "You okay, hun?" I looked at the screen, at the blinking numbers, at logs updating like a cardiac monitor sliding toward flatline. "Yeah," I said slowly, "just watching bad decisions come home to roost." By 8:52 the next morning, Apex Defense Systems was in full crisis mode. Not the organized kind with clear leadership and decisive action, more like chickens with their heads cut off if the chickens were wearing designer hoodies and demanding quarterly growth projections while bleeding all over the boardroom. I had logs open on 3 devices now: the tablet, my laptop, and an old Android phone from my paranoid contractor days. Every terminal was screaming variations of the same thing: systems compromised, documentation missing, access denied, failovers failing to fail over. In London, a DevOps contractor sent a frantic email about critical handoff procedures for European defense contracts. His message, riddled with typos, said, "Need urgent credential tree for UK node authentication. All backup tokens invalid." Preston says check shared drive. Nothing there. Help. There was nothing to help with. I'd removed the last trace of that credential tree 6 months ago after seeing Preston grant Chloe administrative access like it was a VIP pass to Coachella. Meanwhile, at headquarters, Preston stood in the middle of the operations floor like a general who'd lost his map, insisting that a full system refresh would solve everything. "Just reset the admin stack," he told someone over Zoom. "We'll resync from Chloe's profile. She's got the new workflow paradigm." Chloe, bless her caffeinated heart, posted a TikTok mid-crisis, spinning in the darkened server room while emergency lighting flickered behind her. Caption, "When your data vibes are off but your outfit still slaps, had new era, Apex Defense, #glitchy but cute." Someone commented, "Why are all your systems down though?" Hard eyes emoji. The post had 23,000 views and climbing. Internally, 12 dashboards were flatlined. Payroll couldn't access routing numbers. Marketing was still running ads for Preston's live stream reveal scheduled that afternoon. That's when my phone buzzed. Blocked number, but I knew who it was. I let it ring. Ring. Die. He tried again. 3rd time I answered. Didn't speak, just breathed. Preston's voice came through, clipped but trying for casual. "Hey Dustin, quick thing. We're seeing some weird back-end stuff and I was thinking, haha, maybe you could pop in real quick, just for clarity, totally chill consultation." I hung up. The truth is, I hadn't wanted chaos. Despite everything, the disrespect, the dismissal, the way they tossed me aside like obsolete hardware, I never wanted Apex to burn. I'd built that system piece by piece, protected it like my own children, like Sarah and Jake's future depended on it. Which it did. But now it was a ghost ship, and they were steering blindfolded. So I did something unplanned. I opened a private browser tab, no cookies, no VPN, no trace, and sent one anonymous email. Subject, time-sensitive, systems access and legal exposure. To Apex Defense Systems Board of Directors. Internal list. Body, per Internal Security Liability Clause. Section 7.4. Any compromise of infrastructure resulting from personnel changes not approved by original architect constitutes breach of contract and voids all indemnity protections. This clause was added following the 2019 foreign intrusion incident. All architecture in question was constructed, maintained, and secured solely under my clearance. Please refer to Internal Audit Chain ADX DWBU 09422 for compliance verification. ETA to critical system lockout, less than 4 hours. You may still have time. You may not. I signed it. DW closed browser, deleted device profile. Sat breathing, not triumphant, not vindicated, just tired of screaming into the void, filing reports no one read, patching holes no one saw, carrying weight no one understood. Thinking about Sarah's tuition bill due next month, Jake's meal plan payment, my own retirement that was supposed to be secure. Now the silence was theirs to bear. The first board email hit like a slap across the conference table. It was forwarded to me anonymously at 6:24 p.m. from a legal address that hadn't been used since the company merger. Subject, urgent liability review. DW clause active. Buried in legalese was the sentence I'd written years ago when the CEO was still sane and the company ran on competence instead of influence metrics. No indemnity shall apply where system failure arises from unapproved personnel changes affecting core infrastructure control. Translation, you break it, you bought it. Fire the architect without contingency planning. You own every failure, every dollar of damage, every contract violation, every lawsuit from angry defense contractors. And Preston had signed my dismissal order himself, with that smiley face emoji next to my name. I didn't have to guess what happened next. The logs painted a perfect timeline. 6:27 p.m. Preston called General Counsel. Call flagged as escalated within 4 minutes. 6:31 p.m. GC emailing board, citing breach risks, vendor liability exposure, and gross executive negligence. Law firm Speak for Your Son screwed up catastrophically. 6:43 p.m. Preston tried damage control. Dustin must have deleted stuff out of spite, he reportedly said. Classic disgruntled employee sabotage. Cute theory, except the CTO was on that call too. Under pressure, he cracked like cheap encryption. He built everything, he admitted. There was no deletion. He didn't sabotage anything. He just stopped. None of us have full admin access. I don't even know where the original authentication keys are stored. Dustin ran everything manually, every license, every override, every contract renewal. Dustin was the documentation. Pause. Then, and Chloe thought the system reset button was for design mode. She said it looked like Canva. The CTO's voice reportedly dropped to a whisper. That was the master security console. Silence. By 7:15 p.m., client services was forwarding angry emails from defense contractors who couldn't access their project dashboards. East Coast data centers were showing error cascades. Denver was stuck in an authentication loop. Colorado Springs, our main hub, was locked out entirely. Chloe, in an act of divine stupidity, tried to live stream an apology from the control room. Halfway through, she accidentally triggered a power management sequence that temporarily shut down server group C. Her phone died mid-recording. The video ended with her saying, "Wait, do I smell something burning?" I poured a second beer and turned off my Wi-Fi. 8:17 p.m. Text from an unknown number. Not Preston, not HR, not legal, just, "He's back tomorrow. This is going to be bad." It was from Caleb, the founder's assistant. Nervous guy, always squeaking around in dress shoes, used to sneak energy drinks into board meetings. Caleb didn't text warnings unless the sky was cracking open. I stared at the message. The founder, Wesley Whitfield, the man who hired me, who once handed me a classified laptop in crisis and said if this doesn't boot by morning, we lose a $45 million contract. I'd fixed it in 2 hours. He gave me a bonus and a handwritten thank you note I still kept in my dresser drawer. Now he was flying back to a company with 13 red blinking nodes and no one left at the helm. Somewhere in the smoking wreckage was his son and a girl with glitter eyeliner still blaming the pink button. They weren't feeling the full impact yet, but they would. The system hadn't crashed. It was waiting, because I'd taught it to wait just long enough for the people who caused the damage to stand center stage and own it. Wesley Whitfield touched down at Denver International just after 3 a.m., dragging 38 hours of jet lag, a briefcase full of classified contracts, and enough espresso to power a small generator. He skipped the usual executive escort, told his driver to kill the music, and stormed through headquarters like a man walking into his own funeral. Upstairs, he bypassed the welcome committee Preston had arranged, some awkward lineup of middle managers in ill-fitting blazers, and locked himself in his corner office with his personal laptop, the one nobody else dared touch, the one he used to access the shadow dashboard showing real-time diagnostics of Apex's entire digital backbone. The laptop connected and froze. 13 red dots blinked at him from 13 quadrants, each one marking a data center. Normally green, they pulsed like emergency beacons. He clicked New York. Failover backup expired. Access rights invalid. Clicked Denver. Core control system inaccessible. Contact system architect. Clicked Colorado Springs. License expired. Security audit pending. He double-clicked the master override interface. The nuclear option meant to restore all systems in case of national emergency. It opened with a flicker, then displayed a single message in white text on black background. System designed by D. Walsh. Revocable upon misuse. Wesley didn't scream, didn't throw the laptop, just closed it with enough force to make the intern down the hall jump. Then came the words that froze the entire floor. Where is he? The email came at 3:17 a.m. No subject, no signature, just, you're needed. 9 a.m. boardroom. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. I knew what those red dots meant, knew what the logs were screaming, knew that the moment the founder saw his empire flickering like a dying light bulb, he'd reach for the only person who understood the wiring. I showed up at 8:58 a.m. No suit, no power tie, just boots, jeans, and a flannel shirt that still had yesterday's chili stain. Hair finger-combed, face set like granite. I walked past the receptionist who stared like she was seeing a ghost, past Shane at security who gave me a slow, respectful nod. Elevator up, top floor. Same floor I'd been escorted from days before, badge stripped like a criminal. Now nobody stopped me. The boardroom was full when I entered. Long table, nervous faces, coffee clutched like lifelines. Wesley stood at the head, arms crossed, jaw clenched tight enough to crack teeth. And there was Preston, sitting 3 seats down, pale and jittery, dressed like a man who thought his hoodie and charm could still save him. Chloe wasn't there. Rumor was she'd locked herself in a supply closet after accidentally triggering the building's fire suppression system. Preston opened his mouth. "Dustin, look, I think we should—" Wesley cut him off without looking. "Sit down, Preston, don't speak." The room went arctic. I stepped to the head of the table opposite the founder. No dramatics, no speeches. I pulled my tablet from my bag, the same outdated device they'd all dismissed, opened a terminal window, entered 4 characters, my original access code. On the wall display behind me, 13 red dots blinked once, then turned green, one by one, like lights in a dark city coming back to life. Silence except for Wesley exhaling. He sank into the nearest chair, shoulders suddenly carrying decades. "You never sabotaged it," he said, almost to himself. "No, sir," I replied. "I just removed myself." He nodded slowly. "And you waited." I shrugged. Protocols run their course. Then came the moment. Wesley turned toward his son. Not angry, not loud, just done. "You're not VP anymore." "But Dad, you're done." He said it like closing a browser tab. Final click. "Goodbye." Preston slumped like someone had unplugged his ego. I didn't smile, didn't gloat, just tapped the tablet once more and locked the screen. "Everything's stable," I said, "but I recommend auditing vendor contracts. Your consultant invalidated half of them trying to optimize the interface with emoji stickers." Wesley rubbed his temples. "Sweet, merciful." Someone muttered she thought AWS was a clothing brand. Nobody laughed. I stood up. "Anything else, sir?" Wesley didn't answer immediately, just looked at me like a man watching the last functional part of his company consider walking away again. Finally, "Stay." We'll restructure everything around you, officially, permanently. I reached into my bag one final time. Not the tablet, just a single sheet of paper, crisp and official. I slid it across the polished table. Wesley glanced down, squinting, his brow furrowed as he read the fine print. "This is your original contract," he said slowly. "Addendum 12, I replied. "From the 2019 incident. Emergency authorization clause, 2.8% equity transfer per data center, successfully secured and maintained over 36-month continuous cycle, activated upon wrongful termination without cause." His eyes widened as he did the math. 13 centers times 2.8%. 36.4% controlling interest, I finished. All documented, all legal, all mine. The room went silent except for Preston making a strangled sound. I looked at him one final time. "Your girlfriend's sweet. She'd do great in retail." Wesley stared at the contract like it was written in ancient hieroglyphics, then looked up at me with something approaching reverence. "Mr. Walsh," he said quietly, "welcome to the executive board." I picked up my tablet, headed for the door. No escort needed this time. Outside, Chloe stood by her white Tesla, mascara running like a broken Instagram filter. Preston paced beside her, shouting into his phone, "Just get me someone who knows what they're doing. She can't just own everything." But I could. And I did. A company SUV pulled up, mine now. I slid on my sunglasses and got in. As we drove away, I didn't look back. All 13 data centers were green again. Sarah's tuition was secure. Jake's meal plan was covered. All lights on except theirs. Thanks for sticking around, folks. Hit that subscribe if this resonated. Unless you're my old boss, then you're on your own. Semper Fi.